You think you're in control of your life. You believe your choices are conscious, your reactions are measured, your feelings are understood. But what if I told you that beneath the surface of your awareness, a silent war is being waged? A conflict where your own mind has turned against you, using hidden strategies to protect you from pain, but in doing so is slowly dismantling your chance at a real, connected, and peaceful existence. These are the defense mechanisms, the invisible architects of your suffering. They are the reason you keep having the same arguments, feeling the same emptiness, and returning to the same dead ends, all while believing you are moving forward. Today, we will uncover the 5 most dangerous ones. We will trace their origins back to the quiet, unspoken rooms of your childhood, and we will see how they have been silently destroying you from the inside out. This is not about assigning blame. This is about bringing what has been hidden in the dark into the light of understanding, so that you can finally stop fighting a ghost and start healing the real wound. Let's begin with the first mechanism, one so common you've probably never even noticed it. It's the quiet act of pushing down an uncomfortable thought, a painful memory, a forbidden desire. You simply decide it's not there. You take the feeling, the image, the truth, and you shove it deep into the basement of your mind, locking the door and pretending you've lost the key. On the surface, it feels like a victory. The anxiety fades, the shame retreats, and you can go about your day. You believe you have successfully deleted a problem. But the mind does not have a trash bin. Nothing is ever truly deleted. What you have repressed does not vanish. It merely changes form. It loses its name and its context, but it does not lose its power. It begins to seep out, to leak into your life in ways you would never connect back to that original buried pain. A sudden, inexplicable anger at a loved one over a minor issue. A free-floating sense of dread that arrives on a peaceful Sunday afternoon. A physical symptom, a tightness in your chest, a headache that has no medical cause that the doctors cannot explain. This is the ghost in your machine. The memory you refuse to feel is now being felt by your body. The truth you would not acknowledge is now expressing itself as a general unease with your entire life. You have not gotten rid of anything. You have only made it stranger, more diffuse, and much, much harder to find. The second mechanism is a more subtle, yet equally destructive form of self-deception. It is the act of taking a feeling that is too difficult, too threatening to feel in its original context, and redirecting it toward a safer, less dangerous target. You cannot be angry at the boss who humiliates you because you need the job. You cannot feel the deep disappointment toward a parent because that love feels conditional. So you take that sharp, pointed emotion and you unconsciously aim it elsewhere. You come home and snap at your partner for leaving a dish in the sink. You feel a surge of rage at the driver who cut you off in traffic, a rage that feels disproportionate, that shakes you for hours. This is displacement. The emotion is real, but its target is a decoy. You are not really angry about the dish. The dish is just a safe stand-in for the humiliation you endured, for the love you felt you had to earn. It is a silent transaction of pain, where the original creditor is too powerful to confront, so you collect the debt from someone or something else. The cost of this is a life lived in misdirection. Your relationships become minefields, not because of the actual issues within them, but because they are absorbing emotional shrapnel from battles fought elsewhere. You feel constantly on edge, irritable, because you are carrying a weight that does not belong to the present moment. You are haunted by reactions that don't fit the situation, leaving you confused about why you feel so intensely about things that, deep down, you know are small. The original wound remains untouched, festering, while you exhaust yourself fighting shadows. The third mechanism is perhaps the most insidious because it wears the mask of virtue. It is the process of taking an impulse, a desire, or a feeling that you find unacceptable, often anger, jealousy, or a sexual urge, and transforming it into its exact opposite. You feel a simmering resentment towards someone you were supposed to love, and so you become excessively, almost suffocatingly devoted to them. You are plagued by a desire you deem shameful, and so you launch a public crusade against that very thing. This is reaction formation, where the unconscious mind, to protect you from your own truth, builds a fortress of its opposite. You are not just hiding the feeling, you are actively performing its antithesis. The man who is terrified of his own latent homosexual desires becomes the most vocal and aggressive homophobe. The woman who harbors a deep, unacknowledged rage toward her child becomes the portrait of self-sacrificing, martyr-like motherhood. On the surface, it looks like strength, like morality, like control, but underneath, it is a civil war. The energy required to maintain this pretense is immense. You must be constantly vigilant, policing not only your actions, but your very thoughts, ensuring that no trace of the forbidden truth ever surfaces. This creates a person who is rigid, brittle, and often judgmental of others who display the very traits they are secretly fighting within themselves. The love feels heavy and controlling. The morality feels punitive and harsh. You become a stranger to yourself because the person you present to the world is a monument built on the grave of your authentic experience. You cannot access your real feelings because you have condemned them as monstrous, and so you are left with only the statue, cold and unmoving. The tragedy is that the initial impulse was never the problem. It was just a human feeling. The problem was the shame you attached to it. A shame often learned long ago in a room where you were taught that some parts of you were not allowed to exist. So you buried that part alive, and now you must stand guard over its grave for the rest of your life, terrified that it might one day break free. The fourth mechanism is the quiet art of going backwards. When the present becomes too overwhelming, when the responsibilities of adulthood feel like a crushing weight, your mind, in its desperate search for safety, does something remarkable. It retreats. It travels back in time to an earlier stage of your development, a time when life was simpler, when your needs were met by others, when you felt, or at least imagined you felt, secure. This is regression. You don't decide to do it, it happens to you. A difficult conversation with your partner, and you find yourself shutting down, giving the silent treatment, a behavior more fitting of a teenager than an adult. A setback at work, and you feel the urge to curl up in bed, to be taken care of, to have someone else make it all better. You might become excessively needy, or, conversely, stubborn and defiant in a childlike way. It is a search for the comfort of a world with fewer choices, where the stakes felt lower. But the safety it offers is an illusion, a phantom memory. You are an adult visiting the emotional landscape of a child, and you no longer belong there. The regression does not solve the problem. It only makes you smaller, less capable of facing it. The work deadline is still there. The relationship issue remains unresolved. But now you are trying to face it with the emotional tools of a past version of yourself, tools that were never designed for the complexities of your current life. This creates a devastating cycle. The present problem causes you to regress, and the regression ensures you are unequipped to handle the problem, which in turn makes the problem feel even more insurmountable, prompting a deeper retreat. You feel stuck, not just in a situation, but in a time. You wonder why you can't act your age, why you feel so fragile when you know you are strong. It is because a part of you is hiding in a room that no longer exists, looking for a protection that can now only come from the very adult self you have temporarily abandoned. The original wound here is often a childhood where you had to grow up too fast. Or conversely, one where you were never truly encouraged to grow up at all. So now, under pressure, your mind seeks the missing chapter, leaving the present moment empty and unmanaged. And the fifth, and perhaps most spiritually corrosive mechanism, is the act of looking outward to explain what is happening within. When an internal feeling, a thought, or a desire becomes too threatening to acknowledge as your own, your mind has a final, desperate strategy. It projects it outward. It takes the quality, the impulse, the fear, and it attributes it to someone else, to the world outside. You are the one feeling a deep attraction to a colleague, but you become convinced that it is they who are constantly flirting with you. You are the one harboring aggressive thoughts, but you perceive everyone around you as being hostile and angry. This is projection. It is the mind's way of exiling its own uncomfortable citizens. By seeing the trait in others, you can condemn it, fight it, or fear it, all while remaining blind to its existence within yourself. It is a profound form of self-alienation. You become a critic in a world you have painted with your own disowned colors. The person who is deeply insecure becomes acutely attuned to every sign of arrogance in others. The person who struggles with their own honesty becomes suspicious of everyone's motives. The world becomes a mirror, but a funhouse mirror that reflects back a distorted version of your own inner landscape. The great cost of this is a life lived in paranoia and misunderstanding. Your relationships are not based on who the other person truly is, but on who you need them to be to carry your projected fears and desires. You feel constantly judged, attacked, or misunderstood because you are surrounded by the ghosts of your own psyche. You are fighting your own shadow, mistaking it for an enemy standing in front of you. The original pain is the inability to tolerate a part of yourself. Perhaps you were taught that certain feelings were sinful, or that certain aspects of your personality were unlovable. So instead of integrating them, you cast them out, and now you must live in a world that seems to be populated by your own rejected demons. The peace you seek will never be found by trying to control the external world, because the chaos you are trying to quell was never out there to begin with. It was always within, waiting for your acknowledgement, not your exile. Now, take a quiet moment. Look at these 5 mechanisms not as flaws, but as strategies. They were the best solutions your younger, more vulnerable mind could devise to survive a world that felt too big, too painful, or too confusing. They were your protectors. But you are not that child anymore. The defenses that once kept you safe are now the very walls that keep you imprisoned. They are the reason for the repetitive arguments, the unexplained sadness, the feeling of being an imposter in your own life. Can you see the faint outline of one of these patterns in your own story? Can you identify the ghost you have been feeding? If this quiet exploration has resonated with you, if it has put words to a silence you have carried for a long time, then this channel is here for you. We go deeper into these shadows, not to live in them, but to understand their shape so we can finally walk past them. If you'd like to continue this understanding with us, but understanding these mechanisms is only the first step. It is the moment you find the map to a maze you have been wandering in for years. You can now see the walls, the dead ends, the paths that lead you in circles. But the map is not the same as walking out of the maze. The real work, the quiet and often difficult work, begins when you decide to stop walking the same familiar corridors. This is the point of comprehension. The moment where the ghost is finally given a name, and in the naming, it loses some of its power. You begin to see that your sudden irritability is not a personal failing, but a signal. It is the ghost of a repressed memory knocking from the inside, asking to be heard. Your disproportionate anger in traffic is not about the other driver. It is a displaced plea from a part of you that felt powerless in a situation where you could not afford to be angry. Your rigid morality or suffocating devotion is not a testament to your strength, but a reaction formation against a desire you were taught was too dangerous to feel. Your urge to retreat and be cared for is not a sign of weakness, but a regression to a time when your needs felt met. And your constant suspicion of others is not a clear-eyed view of the world, but a projection of the qualities you cannot bear to acknowledge in yourself. This is the profound shift. The problem is no longer a mysterious, external force that happens to you. It is an internal process, with a history, a logic, and a cause. The shame begins to lift because you realize you are not broken, you are adapted. You built these defenses for a reason. They were the armor you needed for a battle that may be long over. And now, the weight of that armor is what is slowing you down in a different kind of life. This understanding does not erase the pain instantly. It does not magically fix your relationships or quiet your anxiety, but it does something more important. It returns agency to you. You are no longer a passive victim of your own unconscious. You are now a detective of your own soul, holding a flashlight in the dark rooms of your past, finally able to see what you have been tripping over all this time. The patterns are not your destiny. They are just patterns, and patterns, once understood, can be changed. So I ask you, which of these silent guardians have you mistaken for yourself? Which one feels most like home, even though it is a home that has long since become a prison? If this quiet understanding has brought a moment of clarity, a sense of being truly seen, then you are not alone on this path. This channel is a space for this kind of honest looking. If you want to continue turning the light on in these dark corners, please like this video and subscribe. And so we arrive at the quietest, most personal part of our conversation. The part where the knowledge moves from your head and sinks into the silence of your chest. You have seen the map. You have recognized the walls. Now, in the stillness, a single question remains. Not a question for me, but for the part of you that has been listening all along. Which of these 5 silent guardians have you mistaken for your own voice? Is it the one that taught you to bury your pain so deep you forgot where you left it? Is it the one that redirects your anger onto safe targets, leaving your real battles unfought? Is it the one that built a fortress of virtue to hide a truth you were afraid to feel? Is it the one that pulls you back to the emotional age of a child when the world feels too heavy? Or is it the one that paints the world with the very colors you refuse to see in yourself? Which one feels like the most familiar room in your mind? The one you return to without thinking, even though the air in there has grown thin and the windows are sealed shut? If this video has given a name to a silence you have carried, if it has made you feel less alone with the ghosts in your machine, then that is the first and most important step. This channel is here to walk this path with you. If you would like to continue this understanding, please like this video and subscribe. The real change does not happen in a dramatic moment of transformation. It does not arrive with a flash of light or a sudden epiphany that erases all the old pain. Real change is much quieter than that. It happens in the small, almost invisible moments that follow this understanding. It is the pause you take before you speak in anger, when you wonder, even for a second, if this feeling truly belongs to this moment, or if it is a ghost from another time. It is the conscious breath you draw when you feel the urge to retreat, choosing to stay present with the discomfort instead of fleeing to the imagined safety of the past. It is the gentle curiosity you turn toward your own rigid judgments, asking yourself what softer, more vulnerable feeling might be hiding beneath that wall of certainty. This is the slow, patient work of reacquainting yourself with the parts of you that you sent into exile. It is not a battle to be won, but a presence to be extended. You are not trying to kill the defense mechanisms. You are trying to thank them for their service, and finally, gently let them retire. They kept you safe. They helped you survive. But you do not need to survive this moment anymore. You are here. You are alive. And the life that is waiting for you exists beyond those walls. It is a life where your reactions fit the situation, where your love feels light because it is not a performance, where your anger has a clear address and can be expressed without destroying everything in its path. It is a life where you can feel sad without being ashamed and desire without being terrified. This is not a fantasy. It is the natural state of a human being who is no longer at war with their own unconscious. The path there is built one honest, quiet moment at a time. So I ask you, in the silence after these words fade, what is the one small, almost imperceptible shift you could make today? Not a grand gesture, but a single, quiet act of noticing. Could you notice the first hint of a displaced feeling before it lands on someone who doesn't deserve it? Could you notice the subtle pull to regress and choose to stay in your adult body for just 1 minute longer? If this quiet path forward makes sense to you, if you feel that it is time to stop surviving and start truly living, then this is your invitation to go deeper. If you would like to continue this journey of gentle understanding with us, please like this video and subscribe.